Hey, hey, hey. Hey, 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 hey. I don't know if anybody's up. I don't know if anybody's up, and it's totally okay. But I'm up. I just got out of the shower. I literally had to hop out of the shower. Um, so crusty ponytail, crazy face, all the things. But the Lord was talking really, really loud. So if you're up, I would love for you to join me for a few minutes just to chat about what the Lord is saying, and I feel like it was necessary to share. And if you're not able to catch this live, then I want you to press or put replay into the comments. Holly, listen, babe, hold on, wait. I texted you the other day. I don't know if you got it, but there's something that I'm gonna want us to do together. So I'm gonna text you later. But it's something for me and you. But yeah. But yeah, I was literally in the shower, y'all, and the Lord started talking, and I was like, wait. You're getting too loud. You're getting too loud. Let me get out of here before I fall over in here, bust my butt. So I ran because I was like, the girls have got to hear this. But he has been and was talking to me about worshiping him in the weight with our weight, worshiping him in the weight with our weight. And so in the weight is WAIT, and with our weight is WEIGHT. WEIGHT. Sorry, I'm moving some stuff on my desk. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. And he sent me, like I said, he was really, really loud in there because there's just been some things that I've been praying about and seeking him about and kind of pursuing as I take this quiet time with him. Right, Holly. And that's exactly how I felt. And I said, God, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I have this feeling of urgency. I have this feeling of overwhelm. I have this feeling of like, I don't know what you want, but I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there, but I don't feel like I'm moving at the pace that you're talking. I don't feel that way. And it's frustrating me because there's so many things that you're asking me to do, and I'm trying to put my hands to do them. I'm trying to put my feet to the path, but I don't feel as though I'm moving in the way that you're talking, the urgency, the overwhelm that you're talking. And in the shower, he literally said, because I need for you to focus your energy on worshiping me in this weight. And I need you to put your weight on it. I need you to put your weight on it. I need you to put your weight on it. I need you to put your weight on it. And I said, hold on. What do you mean? What do you mean? He said, there's so many things that I've released to you that I'm calling you into, but there's still a waiting season. Just because I've released you into a place of knowledge does not mean I've released you into a place of production. And so I need you to worship me while you wait for me there. I need for you to understand that there are still things that I'm doing. There are still things that I'm putting into place. There are things that I'm calling into alignment. Just because you're getting to that place doesn't mean that I'm ready for you to produce yet. That's it. Exactly. Devin, Holly, that's it. Stand on business. It's got to be weighty. We have really gotten to this place where we're willing to just worship and walk away. God, we thank you. God, we love you. God, you've been good. God, you've been faithful. Okay, that's good, God. I've worshiped you. I've done what you've asked me to do. But he's literally saying, I need you to literally sit with me in this waiting space. I need you to tarry there. We're going back to tarrying season. This isn't going to be this isn't going to be a superficial type of worship service. He said, I actually need you to take this period of time, this season, and turn it into a lifestyle. That you're going to wait until you hear me, that you're going to wait until you see me, that you're going to do everything within your power to honor me with the wait, that there will be no complaining, that there will be no confusion, that there will be no despondency, that there will be no walking away, that there will be no attitudes of deficit, of desolation. He's literally saying, I need you to make this a lifestyle that you can wait and worship. That you can wait and worship, because sometimes we'll get to these waiting seasons and we forget to worship. And worship is not just saying, God, we love you. Worshiping is not just putting on a song. Worshiping is not just lifting our hands. Worship is in the way that we act out the obedience and submission to the directives that he's given us. Worship is actually doing and being who he's called us to be. Worship is engaging with others as a true disciple and not as a superficial motivational speaker. Worship is being the only thing that, as in the only instrument, right? That you are the instrument for him. You become an instrument. He's playing you. You are pliable to him. You are flexible to him. You create the notes. That's it. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. My time has not come yet, and his father had not released him yet. In this waiting season, God has given you instructions. There are things that he's told you that's going to happen. He's shown you great visions, open visions, dreams. There's been prophetic words. Things have been coming into alignment, and you're just trying to put your hands to it. Like, okay, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. But you're not moving at the pace that you hear him, and you're wondering why, and it's frustrating you. And it's because he wants you to worship in the wait. He's released you into the knowledge, not the production. There's a reason for that. I want to do a couple of scriptures here, and he led me, and again, like I literally got out of the shower and was running to my computer. I was like, okay, God, hold on. So there's a couple scriptures. So Psalms 37:7, be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act. Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act. When the presence of God is here, it's not so we can get rowdy and get loud. It's so that we can be reverent and submitted, and that we are there with a listening heart and ear, and that we move when he moves, not before he moves. We wait patiently for him to act. So we're worshiping him through our obedience. We're worshiping him through our stillness. We're worshiping him through our submission. We're worshiping him when we're saying, we're going to move when you tell us to move and not before. We worship him in the wait, in the presence of God. Psalms 40:1, I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and he heard my cry. I waited patiently for the Lord and he turned to me and heard my cry. This one is good because, again, like I said, I've been praying for some things. I've been crying out about some things. I've been like, God, okay, I don't know what's going on. What is this? That's it, Holly. And I've been like, God, where? I've done what you've asked, and I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything, but I didn't move. I stayed in position. I stayed there, and I'm realizing that what the Lord was telling me in the shower, he says, I'm turning to you because I'm hearing your cry, and your worship is a cry. Your worship is a cry. God, I honor you. God, I'm submitted to you. God, I'm not going to move until you tell me to move, but I'm still concerned. I still need you. I'm still seeking you. I still yearn for you. I'm still pursuing you, but I'm not moving out of position. I'll wait patiently, but God, I'm calling for you. As I wait, I call for you. I'm not despairing. I'm not discouraged, but I'm calling for you. I'm calling for you. Your worship is a cry. And sometimes it is verbal. Most times it's spiritual. Your spirit cries out for him. It yearns for him. It seeks him. It seeks him. Psalm 130:5, it says, I wait for the Lord. My whole being waits, and in his word I put my hope. I wait for the Lord. My whole being waits. Remember what we said, your worship is a lifestyle. You are the instrument. You become what is pliable for God. He begins to move through you, through your worship, because you honor him. Because you honor him. Thank you, Holly. Psalm 135. I've already done Psalm 40:1 and Psalm 37:7. But your whole being has to be submitted to him. Your whole being has to yearn for him. Your whole being has to seek and pursue him. That's how you're worshiping God. Where you place your hope is where you place your reverence. Where you place your hope is where you place your obedience. Where you place your hope is where you place your submission. Where you place your hope is where you place your worship. Because that's what you begin to pray about. That's what you begin to intercede about. That's what you begin to focus on. And we've talked about this. If you did the Bible study with me, that's what we talked about. Where you focus is what you honor and what you reverence. And he says your focus has to be me. So your worship is supposed to be there. Your worship is supposed to be there. Psalm 40:1, Holly. Psalm 27:14. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Yes, wait for the Lord. Psalm 27:14. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Yes, wait for the Lord. There's going to be a waiting season. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how seasoned you are, how new you are. There's always going to be a waiting season. And it will vary in its length, but there will be one. But don't rush it. Don't rush it. That's an opportunity. That's it, Devin. That's it. Jeremiah 30. You know, we pray at our church every day at 3:33 just because of that scripture. That's it. Call to me and I will answer you. Don't rush your wait. Don't rush your wait. Don't rush your wait. Don't rush your wait. There's something there. There's something in the waiting season. They that wait on the Lord, Isaiah 40:31, they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Isaiah 40:31, but they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. If you rush through your wait, you'll never gain the strength required for your release. If you rush through your wait, you will never acquire the strength required for your release. You'll never do it. You'll never do it. This literally is, if you'll wait for him, he'll renew what you need. If you wait for him, you'll mount up. You'll be able to soar over those things that are around you that seem like they're insurmountable. If you'll wait for him, you'll be able to run and you won't get weary in that running. If you wait for him, you'll be able to walk through the fire and not faint. Don't rush your waiting season. Don't rush your waiting season. The last one that I want to give you for WAIT is Lamentations 3:25. And again, if you guys have other scriptures, feel free to drop it in the chat. But Lamentations 3:25, the Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. Hey, Auntie. Lamentations 3:25, the Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. When we're talking about worshiping him in the wait, there will be a presence that's just good to you. The old school used to say it's just goody. It's like goody to you. It'll be refreshing to you. But there is favor. It's also saying not just will it feel good to you, not just will your soul feel replenished and refreshed, but there is actual favor in the wait. There's favor there. God will be good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. If you're actively pursuing him, if you're actively saying, God, I just want you. I just want to be in your presence. I want to tarry here. I understand that you're going to release something after this season, but here I want to worship you because you're honoring me now. It's not just that God is going to honor you after the wait. He's honoring you in the wait. He's favoring you in the wait. Sometimes we think that the blessing comes after we get through this. It's here. It's here. The favor is here. The favor is in the wait, just as much as it's in the next season where the release that he's already shown you is. And here's why. One, he's keeping you. He's maintaining you. He's sustaining you in the wait. He's also ensuring that you're not released into something too soon before you can properly steward it. Because if you can't steward it when you're released, you'll never be able to maintain or keep it. Okay? So there's favor in him keeping you in this place until the right time. So you worship him for the favor that is released. You worship him for the way that he is honoring you with the wait. And just as much as he's calling us to worship in the wait, he's calling us to worship with our wait. Okay? And so I want to go to some scriptures that he led me to about wait. And there was one in particular that he took me to, and it was Deuteronomy 25 verses 13 through 16. Yeah, I love you, Dev. So Deuteronomy 25 verses 13 through 16, it says, you shall not have in your bag differing weights, a heavy and a light. You shall not have in your house differing measures, a large and a small. You shall have a perfect and just weight, a perfect and just measure, that your days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. Is giving you. I want you to hear that again. Your days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. That's after the wait. That's after WAIT. Is. That's to come. Not has, but is. But what he talks about before is the weight of you, the perfecting of you. When you're in that waiting season, your weight is going to become balanced. There is going to be a shift in you. That double-mindedness is going to cease. That waywardness is going to cease. That lukewarmness is going to cease. The weight of you is going to become balanced. You are going to be perfect and just. He's perfecting you in this season. And that's why you have to put your weight on your praise. You begin, as you shift, as the Lord begins to balance you, your worship takes on this whole different weight. This pressure begins to come into this weight. It's not wavering. Your worship isn't moving around. It doesn't move with your emotions. It doesn't move with your circumstances. But your worship becomes balanced because you put your weight on it. You're being perfected in this season so that your worship will be perfected. Your worship is being perfected. Your worship is being perfected, God. There's this waiting and we feel like, God, what is going on? Why have I not been released from this? But he says, because I'm trying to perfect you. I've got to get you to this balanced place. There's not going to be a small and a large. There's not going to be a heavy and a light, but it's going to be just like this. The scales will be even. Your worship will be even. You're not going to be moved by the circumstances. You're not going to be moved by the attacks. You're not going to be moved by your emotions. You're not going to be moved by your relationships. The only thing that is going to matter is bringing forth your pure and unadulterated, perfectly balanced worship. We're not going to be worshiping him based on what he's giving us. We're worshiping him based on who we know he is. We're worshiping him because we already know that we're in a season of favor. Even the preparation is favor, y'all, because it's right before he's going to release us into the land, which he's releasing for us. It's right before. So we're already favored. He's already tapped us. He's already identified us. That's already done. The favor is there. We've already been chosen. The royal priesthood, that all that matters. It's already been done. We sit in favor now, but he's getting us to this place where we not only sit, but we are balanced. Because some of us have been sitting on this seat that kind of teeters and totters. Some of us have been sitting on stools that only have 3 legs instead of 4. And so he says, when you worship me in the weight, with your weight, it's going to make the difference. He's calling you to put your weight on your worship. That means you have to train differently. Because we're not talking about body fat, we're talking about muscle mass. You've got to train differently. You've got to eat the word differently. You've got to fast with intentionality. You've got to consecrate with consistency. You've got to consecrate with consistency. Because some of us ain't doing that. We consecrating when it feels good. We're dedicating our time and our energy and our focus to God when it feels good, when he's done what we've asked of him. We try to manipulate the hand of God by consecration, but that's no more. He says you could either do it the way I say or don't do it at all. You cannot prostitute consecration. You cannot prostitute your time with God. So you're going to have to consecrate consistently. You're going to have to fast intentionally. You're going to have to eat the word differently. Some of us eat just to eat, like we like to snack on it. No. You're going to have to eat your fill. He says, eat your fill of me. Eat your fill of me. Eat your fill of me. We're going to be studying differently. We're going to be engaging differently. We're called to discipleship, but many of us are failing in that because we haven't even allowed ourselves to be discipled. We feel that because we've read a little bit, we've done a little bit, that's enough. But this is a perfecting season. The Lord is calling all of us back to his feet. We're all called into this. He says, I need for you to be thoroughly and fully discipled so that you can disciple others effectively. But a lot of us are bucking because we don't want to hear that. We don't want to submit. And we certainly don't want to be obedient. We're not done. We're not done. We're not done. You've got to worship in the weight with your weight. And until you get your weight up, your worship is going to remain unbalanced. And so you'll remain in the waiting season. If you won't learn this lesson, you won't come out of this season. You've got to worship him in that weight with your weight. It's time to get intentional about this. There are things that the Lord has been telling you. There are things that the Lord has been revealing to you. There are things that the Lord has been taking from you. All right? And there's a reason for that. Because your worship ain't there. We want to live in mediocrity. We want to live and we want to exist at subpar because it's comfortable for us. It's natural for us. It seems reasonable to us. There is nothing reasonable about that. You're choosing to remain in a place of deficit. You're choosing to remain out of alignment. You're choosing to tell God that he's not enough. And so he's going to keep you here until you're willing to be perfected, until you're willing to be discipled fully. God is calling us to greater. You shall not have in your bag differing weights, a heavy and a light. You shall not have in your house differing measures, a large and a small. You shall have a perfect and just weight, a perfect and just measure, that your days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. Those sound like directives to me. That sounds really clear to me. That sounds really clear to me. What you're giving out is going to be balanced. That's what's in your bag. What you're stewarding in your home, that's going to be balanced. Because that's what it says. You shall not have in your house differing measures. What you're stewarding is going to be balanced. And there's a reason for that. Because he's releasing you into the place where you will dwell. The place that is perfectly created for you. The place that you can steward with ease. The place that you can steward with favor. But to get there, you have to be of the right mindset. If you're still in your flesh, if you're still in your feelings, if you're still in your ego, then you're not ready to steward the land which he wants to release to you. And that could be anything, y'all. It could be whatever it is. Those visions that the Lord has given you, those dreams that the Lord has given you, those prophetic utterances that the Lord has released into you, all of that stuff, the things, and they're all popping into your mind even now. You're not going to get there until you begin to understand what you're supposed to be doing right here in this season of waiting. And that's allowing yourself to be perfected so that your weight, weight, becomes balanced. You are going to have to worship in the weight with your weight. You've got to put your weight on it. You've got to bring even your worship under submission. Thank you, Holy Ghost. You've got to bring your worship under submission. Half of us do things the way that we've been doing them because it feels good, it strokes our ego, and it makes people think a certain thing about us. But you've got to bring even your worship under submission. Some of that stuff that we're doing, some of that stuff that we're saying, those things that we're crying out, those modes of worship that we're engaging in, the Lord didn't even call you to that. Or he called you to it, but then you bastardized it. So there's also that. Because you took him out of it. And y'all can repeat that I said it. You took him out of it, so you made it a bastard. It's not from God. It's not covered by God. We've got to bring our worship under submission. We've got to bring our worship under submission. We've got to bring our worship under submission. You got to learn to worship him in the weight with your weight. How many of us have been training properly? How many of us have been fasting intentionally? How many of us have been consecrating consistently? How many? Be honest with yourself. What have you really been doing? And who have you been doing it for? Who have you been doing it for? For you? For your church leadership? For your friends? For your significant other? Who have you been doing it for? Holly, listen. At this point, I don't know, sis. Because I also think that we have to kind of call things out. That we have to make this a safe space. That we have to really nurture what we say we're doing here. If I call you pretty, if I say, hey, pretty, I love you, I care about you, then I should also be making space for the hard things about you. So I don't know. I don't know if it's rhetorical tonight. I don't know, because I tell you what, he got me together in that shower. Because he's getting me together even now. Bringing my own worship under submission. Using this season of waiting correctly. This is a perfecting season. This is a perfecting season. We're not going to be perfect after this, but we are being perfected. And we're being perfected because he's calling us into a higher level of stewardship. A higher level of release. He's calling us into that. He's calling us into that. But to get there, we have to be to a certain weight. And I keep hearing him say, you got to get your weight up. 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 And again, it's not about the girth of you. It's about the muscle mass of you. Because if you go back to the scriptures that he gave us on WIT, it's also talking about the movement that's going to be required once you come out of this weight, right? He'll renew their strength. They'll run and not get weary. They'll walk and not faint. There is movement attached. So it's not about the girth of you. It's about the muscle in you. There are things that are happening to each of us in this weight. There are things that we thought that we would already be done with in this weight. But to get to where we're going to be, we've got to go up a weight class. We've got to go up because we've got to put that weight on this weight. That, Devin, that's exactly it. Those of us who teach will be judged, which is exactly why I said earlier, he's calling us back to our feet because some of us still need to be discipled. Hello, all of us still need to be discipled. We think that we are out of that season. We're not. We're not. We're not. We're not. And that's okay. That's okay. In his loving kindness, he's making this clear. In his loving kindness, he's saying, I want you to worship me in the weight with your weight. In his loving kindness, he's doing that. Because he said, I want you to pursue and seek me just as I'm pursuing and seeking you. I sought you out. I called you with love. And I'm honoring you with more. I just need to know, can you handle it? Y'all. Hi, sissy. I didn't even know you're on. Hi. Those are things that we've got to really get in our system. And I'm talking about our spiritual system. Because it needs to be that we're getting to the place where our spirit is leading everything else. That what we're feeding, what we're nurturing, what we're building begins to govern everything else about us. Our physical shouldn't be leading our spirit. Our emotional, our intellect, our ego, that should definitely not be leading our spiritual. It needs to be to the place where our spirit man is so weighty that it can crush everything else about us. Our spirit needs to be so weighty that it can crush everything else about us. That's why you got to bring your worship even under submission, to ensure that you're only worshiping God and you're worshiping in the way that he's called you to worship him, that you're saying and doing the things that he's called you to say and do, that you're engaging in the way that he's calling you to do, that the actions, that the activities, everything that you're putting your hand to is a form of worship, right? And here's the thing, and this is what some people forget. Everything that you put your hand to do is a form of worship. Are you doing it after you've engaged God? Have you asked him how to do it? And if you have, then that means that you're honoring him with the actual output. Worship is honoring him. Worship is being obedient to him. Worshiping is being submitted to him. It's not just a song. It's not just lifting our hands. It's not just saying, God, I love you. All of that, those are modes of worship. But what are you doing? Where is your heart's posture? Have you actually engaged God in any of those things? Everything that you put your hand to is a form of worship. And so ask yourself, who are you worshiping? Especially in this perfecting season. Because we can get so disgruntled, we can get so discouraged, we can get so tired that we begin to do more and say more than he's asked us to do. He said, I just need you to wait right here. Just worship me right here. Don't put your hands on that. Just worship me right here. Don't say nothing about that. Just worship me right here. Don't go over there. Just worship me right here. Just worship me right here until I give you the next step. Do this with excellence. Do this with excellence. Ooh, do this with excellence. I just keep hearing that. Do this with excellence until I release you to the next thing. Do this. If you don't just do this, what are you doing? Because he never called you to it. So who are you worshiping? Who are you honoring? Who are you submitted to? Who are you being obedient to? Who are you following? What are you putting your weight on? What you doing? What you doing? And it's so funny because it's funny. I'm thinking about, and I keep hearing how he says, when there are people who have certain positions and stature, like when they say a thing, there's more weight to it. Like it holds more power. It holds more power. And I keep hearing the Holy Spirit saying that. He's like, if you'll get your weight up, then even the things that you say out of your mouth, even the things that you're praying for, even the things that you're declaring and decreeing, even the things that you're doing that I called you to do, they'll have a different potency. There will be a different and a newer level and supernatural power attached to them. If you'll get your weight up. If you get your weight up. If you get your weight up. I keep hearing that. I keep hearing that. I keep hearing that. I keep hearing that. He said there's going to be things that are going to be released through you if you do the work of worship. If you will do the work of worship in this season of weight, there will be a weight added to you, that there will be a potency and a power and a supernatural authority that you've never had before on the things that you do and you say once you're released from this season. And it's all for his glory. It's all for his glory. Because we've talked about this too. There is a revival coming. There is a revival that is coming, but there have to be facilitators of the revival. And the only facilitators of the revival that we're going to see that are actually going to maintain are the ones who have the oil. The ones who know how to maintain and carry the oil are going to be the ones. That comes from the weight. Oil is produced from a crushing. So you're going to have to put your weight on certain things to produce oil. Those things that you think are a bother to you, you're going to turn those into oil producing things. You got to get your weight up. You got to get your weight up while you're in this waiting season. You got to get your weight up while you're in this waiting season. You've got to. You've got to. He says, worship me in the weight with your weight. Worship me in the weight with your weight. That's it, Holly. Well, we're going to crush ourselves. I hope y'all know that. We're going to crush ourselves just as much as we're the net. That means that we're going to drop, we're going to release. We're going to release our former selves to be pulled up with the bounty of God, which includes our new selves. There's also, the crushing is going to come from the crushing of us. There's going to be a production of oil if we'll allow ourselves to submit to it. Our worship is about to become balanced in a way that we've never experienced before. It's going to become balanced in a way that we've never experienced before. And it's going to change every encounter that we have with God, but it's also going to change every encounter that other people have with us. That's why it's important that we're at his feet being discipled, because there are going to be people that are going to come to us for discipleship. Excuse me. And because they're coming, we have to be prepared for that. We have to be prepared for that. That the only thing that we're releasing over them is the oil that God wants to anoint them with. That's it. Yeah, we're going to have to crush ourselves, Holly, because we're getting in the way of ourselves. In this weight, we're fighting the weight because of us, of our flesh, of our ego, of our own wants, of our own desires. We're going to have to crush ourselves. And by offering ourselves as the sacrifice, the Lord is going to turn it into oil. We are about to be anointed with our own obedience. And the Lord is going to attach supernatural favor to it. Understand that we were created on purpose and with purpose. That at our innate core, there is a holiness and righteousness that the Lord wants to release. But to get to it, we've got to crush this outer body that we've created. We've got to crush this ego that we've allowed to take center. We've got to do that. So we're going to have to crush ourselves to get to the core and the oil that the Lord wants to produce from the vessel that he created. He's going to anoint us with our own obedience and attach supernatural favor to it. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. It's a lot. But when I tell you that the Lord is going to remain loud, because he sat with us for so long and spoke to us so sweetly, and we still missed the opportunity. That moment is past. And he's going to be loud until we get it. I tried the sweet way. I tried the quiet way. I'm going to get it through your head. Don't despise the perfecting season. Don't lose this. Don't rush this. Don't rush this. There's favor here. There's favor here. But there's also a requirement here too. As much as there is favor, there is a requirement here. As much as there is favor, there is a requirement here. Thank you, Jesus. As much as there is favor, there is a requirement here. There is work in worship. There is work in worship. It's a lifestyle. It's not a saying. It's not a hand gesture. It's not a song. It's a lifestyle, which means that you have to literally change everything that you thought into what he said. If he didn't tell you to do it, don't do it. If he told you to do it immediately. We've got to die to ourselves. Why do you think that is, y'all? Sometimes we just want to be blessed with no strings attached. That's cool. We already were blessed. He went on the cross. We now have access to eternal life. There's your blessing. And there's not one string attached. Once you say that you accept him into your heart, you're saved. Cool. There's no strings attached to that. But there is work in worship. And there is a requirement for us to disciple effectively to effectuate his glory in the earth. That's Bible. Go ye into all the world. That wasn't a request. It wasn't, hey, would you think about, would you consider? Maybe if you get a chance, it says go. There's a requirement on us. Period. Period, Holly. He requires our obedience, which is why we're going to be anointed with our obedience. If you would just submit to this process, if you'll go through the crushing, if you'll go through the weight, if you'll worship in the weight, if you'll lean into the requirement of the worship, if you'll do these things, if you'll allow your weight to be upped, for lack of a better phrase, if you'll allow that, if you'll lean into God for that, and if you begin to then turn your weight, weight, if you'll begin to turn that on the weight, begin to press that bad boy down, begin to balance it out, begin to balance your worship, begin to allow yourself to be crushed, there will be an oil that is produced that you've never witnessed before, and you will carry that oil out of this season of waiting and perfecting into your season of release where the revival is coming, and you will sustain the fire. You will sustain the fire. You will not go without. You will continue to see the glory of God. You will begin to herald and witness the fire that laps up the land, and you will continue to feed it, because it says your days will be lengthened in the land that he is giving you. Your fire won't go out because you'll have the oil that you'll carry from your waiting and your perfecting season. I'm so excited, y'all. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. God is so faithful and God is so good. God is so faithful and God is so good. And in his loving kindness, he's loud with us. Don't ignore him. Do not ignore him. The season of grace is ending. In fact, it's over, but I'll say ending if that'll make you feel better. He's being clear and he's being loud. You're either obedient or you're not. Worship him in the weight with your weight. And I'm excited to see what you see when it's all said and done. It's going to be a whole new you. It's going to be the you that can actually steward the land that he's releasing you to. Not this woman that's holding on to what was and what served her in the former, because it really doesn't serve you now. It really doesn't serve you now. No matter how much you want it to, it does not serve you now. So don't run out of the waiting season. Get your weight up first. Do not run out of the waiting season. Get your weight up first. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I hope that this blessed you. If you are catching the replay, make sure that you put #replay in the comments for me so I know it's there. But I'm praying for all of you that are joining me live and those of you that are going to be joining me later. Y'all, I believe that God is doing something supernatural in this season. He's starting with us. And I want you all to lean into that. Do the work, y'all. Fast, consecrate, study, as in read, pray. Do what is required. Do what is required to balance your worship. Do what is required to balance your worship. I am getting so excited to connect with you all even more. We're going to be going live some more in here as the Lord releases. But I told you, I'm only going to be coming in when the Lord tells me. So as much as I would like to see y'all every day, to hop in every day, unless he tells me to, I'm not. Because I'm only going to be doing what God is calling me to do in this season. I'm only going to be releasing the word that he tells me to release. I'll carry whatever I'm meant to carry until it's meant to release. So if you don't see me as often, that's why. But then there will be some weeks that you see me very often. So just flow with me. Just flow with me. And if you're going to be joining us in West Palm Beach, I cannot wait. The Lord is going to release something so special. He's going to release something so special. We're working on some things. We've been talking to some people, and I can't wait for you guys to hear that. But if you haven't got your tickets, go ahead and go to heyprettylife.com, get your tickets, because the Lord said that there are some people and some souls that he wants to save in West Palm Beach, and he's commissioned us to go into that area. Don't miss the alarm. Do not miss the alarm. He's commissioned us for an assignment. We're going to meet the requirements of that assignment, and I want to do it with expediency. So get your tickets at heyprettylife.com. Yes, I cannot wait, Dev. Ebony! I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Also, if you're going to be in town on July 13th, join me at the Be Well Pretty Summit. It is free. It is free. We have a sale going on, as in we wiped out all the costs. But honestly, the Lord has blessed us with a sponsor that will take care of everybody that signs up this weekend. So make sure that you're signing up. Go to heyprettylife.com to reserve your seats for teens, our golden girls, and our in-betweeners. It will be workshops and some speakers on finances, mental health, and physical health. So we're going to have doctors there, financial advisors, all the things. So heyprettylife.com. Join us on July 13th. Go ahead and sign up. Everything is free. But really, 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 if you have not signed up for conference, go ahead and do that, because I promise you that what the Lord is going to release there is going to change your life. I promise you. The Lord has already told me, and I don't want anybody to miss it. I don't want anybody to miss it. I love y'all. I'll see y'all soon. Have a good night, y'all.